Hello again in this installment of Spiritual Wisdom. Today I'm going to talk about standing up to the people in power. Now, there are many sides to us as human beings because we're not just human beings, we are spiritual beings. We are multidimensional beings having a human experience. And part of us, there's the part of us that loves history, there's the part of us that has an interest in history, a part of us that loves nature, or a part of us that loves conspiracy theories as well. And we've all got a bit of a conspiracy theorist in us. And today, when I make videos like this, it's sort of from a place of conspiracy theory, or you could put it down to that. However, what do I mean by standing up to the people in power? Not by being violent or aggressive to the people in power, but by being aware of their game. Because there are so many people in power, secret organisations, governments that are involved in these secret organisations, we really don't have the general public's best interests at heart. And you've got to stand up to these people. That is the way, by being aware of their tricks and games. That's what in order to stand up to these people, you've got to be aware of their tricks and games. Because the media, if you like, there are many forms of media. As me and my friend were talking about, there are many forms of media. You get social media, and social media can be a good thing, can also be a bad thing, because social media has power, but it depends on how that power is used, how the people use it. Also, you get what I'm doing is a form of media, but it's a form of media on the side of truth. But the media I'm referring to is things like the news, newspapers, because these are all bits of truth mixed in with lies to sell a story, a narrative. And people might think the news is not controlled, where it's not biased information, but you'd be wrong. It is controlled by the people in power, because the news is a program, the news program, it's programming you. And you're lucky if good things happen in the world as well as bad. But when you watch the news, you see all these horror and bad things in the world, and it makes you forget how good or how blessed your life is, and you just feel very depressed after it. So the people in power want you to be depressed. They also use fear. People in power use fear to control you, and they want to make you afraid. So they want to make you afraid, because if you're afraid, they want you to hand your trust, your power to them. And we do that. Once you say, oh, I trust the government, I trust certain people in power, because you think their job is to protect you and keep you safe, when really that's not their intention. Their intention is to put you into fear, and if you're afraid, you'll be into submission. You'll do whatever you say, because you think if you do that, but these people in power will protect you, but they won't. Really, they just seek to make money off of you, and they're trying to bury you, but they've forgotten we are seeds. We're meant to grow, prosper, and you take the power away from these people in power, these secret organisations, when you start having a positive attitude about yourself and you start loving yourself, when you have a positive attitude about money, and see what money is just energy. We see it as a physical thing, and because everything in this world, we live in a physical dimension, we live in the third dimension, we see everything as physical, but everything is really energy. We just experience it in a physical way because that is what the third dimensional world's like, the 3D world, the third dimension. But there are many other worlds beyond this, and we can travel to these other worlds and realms through astral projection. And that is a spiritual topic that I'll talk about on psychic development as well. But you take the power away from these people when you realise, I do have fears, and I'm afraid of things, find out what you're afraid of and say, and remember, we all have fears, but remember, you've got nothing to be afraid of in this world, but you've got everything to be aware of. Remember that. Because these people in power, they want you afraid, they want you into submission. And during COVID as well, as I talked about in The Matrix, they used fear to control people. People might think, oh, if I wear a mask, I won't get a virus and I won't be passing a virus on to anyone else. But that was not the reality. The mask symbolises silence and submission. And that is what people did. But then, and people were also under the illusion, because the people in power told them, if you get the jag, I'm protecting the general public by getting my vaccines, and you're protecting me by getting yours. Because if you get them, I won't get it. And if you get it, you won't pass it on to me. So we're all in this together, and we're all keeping each other safe. The general public did want to look out for each other and help each other. And even governments, they were making out what they were in it with you, and they were supporting you for this difficult time. But that was all a delusion. And when you look at COVID, it was like something off a TV screen. And we watched it. It was difficult for a lot of people. It was difficult for me, for everyone. But we watched it and we fell for that stage. The whole world is a stage. And governments, people in power, they act every day. They act. And everything a government person says, or a politician says, or even a news reporter says, they're paid to say it. Not only that, it's scripted, meaning they were meant to say that, and it's all wrote down what they had to say, And they say that journalists are biased, or they're meant to be biased, but they're not. And journalism is certainly not a biased thing. So it's not, we've got to be aware of media. When you watch TV which tells lies to your vision, be aware. Because I'm not one of those spiritual people that say, right, let's throw the TV out altogether. There's a lot of good things about TV, but you have to be aware of what you're watching. Be aware of what you're watching. Be aware of that. And again, as I said, there are going to be a big division. And in COVID, we saw that big division. There was people that believed in COVID and followed the rules thinking they'd be safe. There was people that didn't believe in COVID. They didn't want to get their vaccine. And these two people were arguing with each other, going, you're stupid, you're stupid. And both people were going different branches, rather than saying, I'm going to get that, I respect your views and you respect mine. Because really, people shouldn't be arguing. We shouldn't argue over differences of opinion. We should really just have discussions about these things. And as I said, when I talked about The Matrix, even though that was a film, there's bits of the film that are educational. There's bits of the film where I've got educational bits. There's a lot of programs we watch, and we watch them for entertainment, enjoyment, and box offices make money out of them. A good story, what was once a book, it was a book, and then it became a movie series, was Narnia. Even though that's all fictional, there's life lessons, inspiration, and bits of truth in the legend, but you can learn from. And even when we look at our ancestors, ancient Greeks, Romans, even though those stories are all made up or fictional, there's life lessons to be learned, because when you look at a legend or myth, it tells you about the people. So if you look at an Egyptian myth, it tells you about the people, the Egyptian people, what they believed in, how their everyday lives were. If you look at a Greek myth, it tells you about the Greek people and their everyday life. And there's lessons for everyday people to learn from a myth or legend. And with myths and legends, there's so many ways you can interpret a myth or legend. That's how there's so many ways and so many lessons that can be learned from a myth or legend. But when I say take your power back from people in power, you need to realise that you are a powerful being. powerful beyond measure, and no one can take who you truly are away from you. No one can take your uniqueness away from you. No one can take your power away from you. And you stand up to these people in power, these secret organizations and these big and corporations which seek to make money from you. You stand up to them by being aware of what they're trying to do. You will take the power away from these people if you watch the media with a critical mind. We need to, everything we watch and everything we do, we should do it critically. And that's where I'm going to leave this message today. Everything we do, we should do it critically, meaning we should actually think, why am I watching this? Are there any valuable lessons I can learn from this? Are there anything not so valuable what I can learn from this? And why, look at the world and look at what you're being told in a critical way. Don't just eat it all up. And even what I tell you, think about it for yourself. Do your own research and empower yourself. And by empowering yourself, by loving yourself, and realizing the game what people in power are playing, because they're telling you have freedom of speech, but you don't. You're under the illusion that you live in a democracy. When we're getting to that stage where you really don't live in a democracy, even the people in power are trying to take your right to protest away. Slowly but surely they're doing that. And people might say, oh, well, we've got human rights and that. But slowly but surely, more and more your human rights are getting took away from you. Slowly but surely. And it'll only stop. These people will only be able to stop if you become aware and critical of what they're doing. So this is just food for thought. And as always, this is more my sort of conspiracy or, philosophy. These videos are, about philosophy and waking up and really seeing the world for what it truly is. And it's my calling on this earth to wake people up spiritually, to help and heal people spiritually, and to inspire people. And the goal of spiritual wisdom is also to help you love yourself, become your greatest version, and empower yourself. And I talk a lot because there's so much to talk about, so much to learn, and in each video I'm only covering the surface. So until the next installment of Spiritual Wisdom, may meet, may part, meet again. Have a blessed day, and remember, do everything you do it with a conscious and critical mind. Blessed be.